Hello and welcome to Proving the Concept, the podcast where we deep dive headfirst into the weird, the wonderful, and the occasionally downright bizarre world of science and technology. I'm your host, Sarah Goffin, and today's episode is all about a sensation that every one of us has likely experienced: nausea, or as I like to call it, the ugh feeling. Whether it strikes on a turbulent flight, during a rocky boat ride, or after one too many carnival rides, nausea is one of those universal annoyances. But why does it happen? Or what can we do about it? In today's episode, we're going to explore the science behind motion sickness and nausea, some strange and unexpected ways it can strike, and even a few fun facts about how your body's biology is wired to make you feel this way. And at the end, we'll shine a spotlight on a groundbreaking female scientist who's made some pretty fascinating contributions to this field. So buckle up and keep a ginger ale handy. This one might make your head spin. Let's start with the basics. What is nausea anyway? Well, at its core, nausea is your body's way of telling you something's not right. It's a protective mechanism designed to make you stop and deal with whatever might be causing harm. Motion sickness, for example, happens when your inner ear and your eyes are sending conflicting signals to your brain. Your inner ear is part of your vestibular system, which helps you maintain balance. When you're moving, like in a car or on a boat, your inner ear detects the motion. But if your eyes aren't seeing the same movement, like when you're reading a book in a car, your brain gets confused. This confusion triggers the nausea response because, biologically speaking, your brain thinks you might have been poisoned. Yes, poisoned. Historically, humans associated sensory mismatches with toxic substances, so nausea is like your brain's overprotective mum saying, spit it out, just in case. Now let's dive into some weird and wonderful facts about nausea. Number 1, the astronaut problem. Even in zero gravity, astronauts can suffer from something called space motion sickness. When you're floating in space, your vestibular system goes haywire because there's no up or down. Fun fact, about half of all astronauts experience nausea during their first few days in space. Number 2, the sympathy nausea phenomenon. Have you ever felt queasy just watching someone else throw up? That's not just empathy, it's an evolutionary response. Humans are social creatures, and if one person in your group eats something toxic, it's safer for everyone to purge. Number 3, artificial vomit researchers. Did you know that there are scientists who study the perfect formula for fake vomit? It's used for training medical students or testing cleaning products. One researcher reportedly spent months experimenting with oatmeal and orange juice to get just the right consistency. Number 4, unusual triggers. While motion is a common cause of nausea, some people experience it in response to smells, colours, or even virtual reality. As VR technology gets more advanced, researchers are working on ways to reduce the nausea it can cause for some users. So what can you do if you're hit with a wave of nausea? Here are some tried and true remedies backed by science. Ginger. It's not just an old wives' tale. Studies show that ginger can help reduce nausea. Sip ginger tea or chew on a piece of candied ginger for relief. Pressure points. Acupressure wristbands, like the ones often used by pregnant women, target the P6 point on your wrist, which is linked to nausea relief. Fresh air and focus. If you're in a car, crack a window or focus on the horizon. Both can help recalibrate your senses. For severe cases, over-the-counter medications like hyoscine or sonarazine can help block the nausea response due to travel sickness. Before we wrap up, I'd like to highlight a remarkable scientist who's contributed to our understanding of the brain's sensory processes, which are deeply connected to nausea and motion sickness. Dr. Marguerite Vogt was a German-American scientist whose work in neuroscience and virology helped shape modern medical science. While her most famous research focused on polio and cancer cells, Vogt's early work with sensory systems paved the way for understanding how our brains process conflicting signals, like the ones that cause motion sickness. Her meticulous research techniques are still used today, and her legacy reminds us of the critical role women have played and continue to play in scientific discovery. And that's it for today's episode of Proving the Concept. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the science of nausea and motion sickness. If you have any questions, stories, or weird science topics you'd like me to cover in the future, please feel free to reach out. Remember to subscribe and leave a review. It helps more people discover the podcast. Until next time, I'm Sarah, reminding you to always keep your mind curious and your inner ear balanced. See you soon.